Evening. Please stand for the pledge to the flag. The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. And with that, we'll open regular session of the town board meeting. So first on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. So motion approving the September 11th, 2024 minutes of the regular meeting of the town board.
So moved.
Thank you, and seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And it's carried. We don't have any bid openings. We don't have any public hearings for notice. Don't really have any supervisors updates. And privilege of the floor is the first section where if somebody wants a question or a comment regarding any agenda item. If you have a question or comment about anything else, please reserve it for the end. There's another section for general comments. So does anybody have a question or a comment regarding anything on the agenda? Yes. Can you please step up to the microphone?
Can you tell me if 16.2 is something that is still going to be on the agenda, or is it going to be pulled? I see it's still on, but I wasn't sure because I sent an email to the board.
16.2 is on the agenda for this evening. We're going to discuss it when we get to it this evening. But is the authority to do so? It's not that it will necessarily go forward, but within time frame, the board is going to consider whether they're going to approve for the authority to be able to sign it.
So there's no agreement in place, correct?
I'm sorry?
There's no agreement,
There's no agreement in place, no.
right? So you're approving a motion to have an agreement without even discussing the potential of
Okay, it's
having
not a
an agreement?
discussion back and forth. I answered the question. It is still on the agenda and will be voted on and discussed by the board. Okay, do you have anything else?
Is there a fee associated with such an agreement?
Okay, once again, the board will discuss it when we get to the agenda item. Okay, does anybody else have any question or comment?
So I have some questions on the same question that Shoba had about the cost to the town to have Broome County collect our taxes and what the town would lose if Broome County collected our taxes. And that Broome County's not doing it for free, so there must be a fee. And if there's not a fee, I assume, like has been discussed in the past, Broome County would get the penalties and interest on taxes that they collect. Also, I'm wondering, the school pays the town $25,000 a year for folks to pay school taxes here. Do you have a plan for that? And how will our senior citizens, who we have a fair number of senior citizens in our town who use the pay in person ability. I do too, and I don't consider myself a senior citizen, but I know there's a lot of us that use it. And having had to go to Broome County before myself on many occasions, it's not user friendly, it's not parking friendly, and it'll definitely negatively impact our senior citizens.
Okay, thank you. Well, in terms of the actual cost, would the board like to discuss it when we get to that subject, or would you like to discuss it now? I mean,
To that agenda.
okay, when we
item,
get
that
to the
would be
agenda item,
appropriate.
but we will specifically talk about the costs and stuff that we see at this point. Does anybody else have any question or comment? Okay, so then we're going to move on to the resolutions and the motions, and we don't have any this evening. And Public Works. Robert, we don't have anything under Public Works?
Nothing other Public Works.
Thank you. And Sue, we have items under Finance?
9.1, authorization for the town board to approve payment in the amount of $428.85 to the law firm of Hancock Estabrook LLP for outside counsel fees for legal services rendered through August 31st, 2024.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? And it's carried.
Request from Jessica Farley, Deputy Comptroller, for approval of Water Department budget amendments as listed in the addendum.
Okay, thank you. And we have a motion?
So
So-
moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it's carried. Any opposed? Sorry.
Request
Thank you.
from, oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Request
ahead.
from Jessica Farley, Deputy Comptroller, for approval of a Recreation Department budget amendment to transfer $16,397 from A7180.4303 to A7180.4120 to cover pools summer water usage.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Any discussion? And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And it's carried. And personnel, Sue, do you have anything?
No. No
Thank
items.
you. And Sue, again, planning and zoning?
Planning and zoning, authorization to advertise on September 30th, 2024 for a public hearing to be held on Wednesday, October 9, 2024. The public hearing is for the proposed local law G of 2024 regarding opting out of New York real property tax law, section 487.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I would just like to mention
Sorry.
that this is it's a prerequisite kind of to the solar
Mhm.
processes we have going. The state normally would give solar installations a 15-year tax-free
Mhm.
benefit, and we're opting out of that
Mhm.
because we have to opt out, otherwise it becomes automatic. And by opting out, it gives us the power to then tax the installations if we decide to do so. But before we do any installations, we need to do this first. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, it's just opting out of the state mandated
Tax exemption.
tax exemption, yes. It's not a decision on whether to allow solar farms or anything like that.
Right.
We did vote already, so I apologize for not pausing for the discussion.
Thank you.
But is everybody good
Yes.
to move forward?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And next one?
Authorization for Lincoln Ellis, Code Enforcement Officer, to update the fee schedule for the Building and Code Department with a proposed effective date of January 1, 2025.
Very good. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And it's carried. And Sue, once again, public safety?
Resolution adopting a final order establishing an ambulance district in the town of Vestal. And I'll make that motion.
Thank you. And seconded?
Seconded.
Any discussion? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And it's carried. Okay, and Robert?
13.1, authorization for Patrick Harnan, Recreation Planner, to hire Frank Dusty as fall teen basketball supervisor as outlined in his September 18th, 2024 memo. Start date and rate of pay are also identified in the memo, which is included in the addendum.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. And any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. And it's carried. Any opposed? Sorry. Okay, thank you. And next one?
13.2, authorization for Dan Williams, IT Director, to make budget line transfers to accommodate a move from a monthly payment to a yearly payment of Office 365 and for a new archiving system.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded?
Second.
Thank you. And any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And it's carried. Okay, the next one.
13.3, authorization for the Director of Human Resources, Deborah Penasek, to schedule an on-site flu and pneumonia vaccine clinic to be held at the town hall. Eligible participants are town employees, pre-Medicare eligible retirees with town health insurance benefits, and adult dependents who participate in the town health insurance program. Clinic is to be provided by Guthrie/Lord's Hospital. Charges for eligible participants will be paid for from the health insurance fund.
Okay, thank you. To your motion
So moved.
and seconded?
Second.
Thank you. And any discussion?
So is this just for town employees and their families and those insured by, so, okay,
Yes.
it's not,
Mhm.
not open to the public?
Yeah, we pay for the flu shots for for our
Okay,
own
very good.
employees. Okay, so with that, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And it's carried. Okay, receive and file, sir?
Warrants 2024, 37C, 37G, 37M, 37T, 38C, 38G, 38M, 38T. These are the bills that are paid for the town over the course of the past 2 weeks. They were reviewed and all seems to be in order.
Thank you very much. Okay, petitions and protests, we don't have any. Old business, we don't have any. And so we move to new business. Okay, so the first one is 16.1, which is the request from Vern Myers, Town Engineer, for approval to sell 129 street light head units, which have been retired since being replaced with the LED versions. They will be sold in as is conditioned via Auctions International. Okay, so I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, and seconded?
Seconded.
Thank you. And any discussion? Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
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 And any opposed? Okay, and it's carried. Okay, 16.2, authorization for the town supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with Broome County for the collection of taxes starting in 2025. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And seconded?
Second.
Thank you. And for discussion. So we're up for discussion, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so let's go over the details. I know we had questions from the audience, so, but we want to clarify among ourselves too. So what we're seeing is, so in looking into what the county does in terms of tax collection, they do it for 11 towns in the county already. So we would be the 12th. And if we decide to proceed with this, but the details are basically the county does charge $2 a parcel, which is about $20,000. We would lose about $25,000 in penalties that we would have received. So that's a cost of about $45,000. But we will, instead of having a full-time personnel, there was an opening for a full-time position in the town clerk's office that would be replaced by a part-time position for a savings of $60,000. The for the initial position, and then the part-time position will cost about $20,000. And this is for here's the details. If I can get a copy of that.
So I'm confused on this vote here. You're
Thank you.
voting to sign an agreement? That you're
We're voting for permission to sign the agreement.
Okay, so are we do,
sorry.
are we advertising for the? Are we doing an advertisement then?
Right now, we're just
to
voting on
supersede
what the
local
resolution
law
as
that
it
was
stands.
Established in 2022, local law B.
Okay, right now we're voting on this resolution.
Okay, but I'm asking if that a vote is happening tonight on a local law B established in 2022.
This is not a local law. The local law that you're referring to, abolished elected positions. You can't abolish an elected position. Can you hear me?
There's two parts to it.
Hold on.
Yep.
Can you hear me? I got it. You just gotta hold on to it. The local law, as I understand it, Deborah, was required because you can't get rid of an elected position without public hearing, local law. In a referendum, it went to referendum and it was abolished. So under the terms of the local law, the elected position of tax collector for the town of Vestal was abolished, and the town was authorized to make an annual appointment of a receiver of taxes at the pleasure of the town board, to serve at the pleasure of the town board, and to be appointed annually, or the
That's
town
that
clerk
date.
could do it.
What's the annual date that's appointed?
Oh, I don't-
Okay, further discussion for the board, which is the purpose of this discussion. We had touched on this and considered the possibility for a number of reasons. And I know the public had questions on it as well. We did look at the financial aspects, but honestly, I don't believe that that was the driving force behind any of this. It was actually the physical safety of our personnel. In dealing with large amounts of money and transference to bank deposits, we felt that the safety of our personnel was paramount. And we looked at all the considerations for the residents as well. And while it is definitely a convenience to have it in the town clerk's office, more locally. It is definitely, there are two different locations for it. We looked at those possibilities as well. And in talking to the residents, we did get number one, a very positive reaction to moving it to the county for a number of reasons. There are more ways to pay for it. There's e-checks. You can pay by debit, you can pay by check. You can also do a drop off in the Dropbox at odd times if you want to do it in person as well, for a number of reasons. However, the resolution as it stands is so that we can authorize a signature. I believe, I don't know, we can talk to the town board, but I believe we want to verify everything and we want to probably discuss it a little bit further. But in terms of timetable and signing with the county, we do need something in place in order to be able to do so. At the end of the session for the public, if you have, for those who have not spoken, if you have a question or a comment, we'll be glad to answer it as well. But if we don't have this on the agenda for the authority to do the vote, we can't enter into agreement before the next set of meetings. So, so for the board, what do you think? Any other discussion?
My,
Go ahead.
my only concern is we won't have a local spot for citizens.
Mhm.
That's kind of one of the downsides. That's
Mhm.
all I have for that.
And what other locations that would be available?
It's Broome County Courthouse and in Oakdale Commons.
Okay,
There's
so
two different locations and they also have a Dropbox for off hours there. So if a person can't make it during normal business hours because they work a regular job, they can do the Dropbox. Because as most local law enforcement authorities would suggest, most suggest that we do not send checks in the mail anymore. And so that's a consideration for our residents as well. We've heard voices of concern in terms of that. And then the ability to pay in different ways as well. But it can still be a continuing discussion for sure. But we were hoping for a vote in place for the authority to do it and then pending the resolution.
okay.
Okay.
So the authority is just preliminary step, much like that tax exemption we just did. It's not a contract in any way, shape or form.
No, we haven't
Gotcha.
drawn up a contract yet and we.
Because I do still have other questions that I'd like some details.
Oh, of
on.
course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Mhm.
I could,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not sure you're right about that one. Glenn. I mean, you could, I mean, if you wanted to amend this to say, to authorize the supervisor to enter into negotiations for a contract. That's what you're suggesting, but that's not what this says. This is an authorization for the town supervisor to enter into
Mhm.
contract. Sign a contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Does it mandate that we sign a contract I think is what the question is.
No.
Mhm.
It doesn't, but Glenn's under the impression from his question that this is some sort of preliminary. It's not.
Well, then why are we doing it?
You're asking me- you're asking me. You're in the town.
You're,
not in
you're the
town
one
board.
saying, it's different.
Not on the
Um,
town board. I'm gonna vote. I'm just addressing your question here. You seem to think this is,
well, it's an
this is
authorization.
an authorization to
No.
enter into negotiations. No, this is an authorization to execute a contract.
Right, it's an authorization to sign a contract,
In the
assuming
future. It would
in the
be-
future, right?
It would be, I mean, the terms of the contract are probably well known already because the county has intermunicipal agreements with 8 towns already and
Actually,
There-
11.
I don't think so, but
Okay.
the I mean, they're all the same. They charge they were contracts with no fee associated with them. The benefit to the county is they are already printing out, sending out tax bills. Their joint tax bills, their town and county tax bills, and they got to keep the interest and penalties. So the county benefited by, from this municipality. It sounds like from what I'm told, the interest and penalties in question are around $25,000. The county does it for that consideration. Going forward, I'm told today from the board that the county is going to charge a $20,000, a $2 fee per parcel. We've got about 10,000 parcels, so it'd be around $20,000. So, so we know what we kind of know what the agreement would be, okay? But that, the budget, the county's budget has not been passed at this point.
Mhm.
Okay. So, it's a 2025 recommended budget, which has extra money in the recommended budget for charging municipalities. And the figure that we have heard is $2 per parcel. Okay. So you have some information about what the contract would look like, but but you don't have all the information.
Correct.
I don't.
Yeah. And I would like
That's-
as much of that information as possible to make
Right.
sure that we get that before a contract is entered into.
Well, nobody's signing anything until we have all the details and
Right.
everything certified.
Exactly.
I can
Exactly.
guarantee that.
Yeah.
So
So,
anything else, Dave?
well, just
Mhm.
getting back to Glenn's question, I'm still not,
Mhm.
I'm still clear on the question, but whether or not, if you want the contract itself to come back for a vote, that would require an amendment. But if you don't want the contract itself to come back to a vote, and you just want to authorize the execution of a contract, then that's what you're looking for, yeah. Does that answer your question, Glenn?
It actually answers it better than I asked it. Because now I'm considering maybe,
And that's
maybe
where
we
it's
should,
hard,
maybe we should look at the contract before it gets signed. Maybe we should make a
Mhm.
separate item on an agenda for signing the
Do you want to
contract.
modify the resolution to say that we will enter into negotiations for a contract and then have that contract approved and voted on?
Yes, I would.
How is that?
That'd be
Okay,
great.
good.
One last thing. I'd also like to see if we can have a drop.
There is a motion on the floor.
Right, I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, there's a
Mhm.
motion on the floor.
Okay,
It
so,
doesn't have a second. It needs a second.
Oh, it
Maybe you
doesn't.
should restate your motion. for
It
the
does have a
clerk.
second.
Yeah, it was Miller and Green who did move.
Green is the second? Green
Yeah.
has questions.
Oh, so.
I still had
Can we
one more
just reverse
question,
that
but-
back out, all of it and start again with.
Maybe
Right,
Glenn should
so-
restate his motion
Okay.
and ask for a second.
So he wants to amend the motion.
Right.
Don't we have to vote?
He wants-
no on
he
the
wants-
motion
he's-
first?
To make a motion,
He's making a motion to
Mhm.
amend resolution.
to amend resolution 16.2.
To change the word enter into an intermunicipal agreement. He wants it to read, as I understand it, Mr. Miller, authorization for the town supervisor to enter into negotiations towards an agreement with Broome County for the collection of taxes starting in 2025. Is that your motion?
Does that
Yes.
work for you? the wording?
Okay, yeah, he's a second.
Authorizing the
Okay.
negotiations.
Okay, do we have a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, so then any further discussion?
One last item.
Okay, I'll read it again. Mhm.
Try to have a Dropbox in Vestal to help out the senior citizens if we can.
Yeah, we can certainly ask them.
That's not
um,
germane to the motion.
Yeah, and we can, and
No,
we're,
it's not.
now it's for negotiations towards, so there will be further discussion in regards, and we can accept or reject any terms of that negotiation, depending on what we draw up with the contract. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay. So let me reread it, make sure we have everything. Authorization for the town supervisor to enter into negotiations towards an agreement with Broome County for the collection of taxes starting in 2025. Okay, so do we have a motion?
So moved?
Thank you, and seconded.
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, and it's carried. Thank you. Okay, so then we'll move on to supervisors' announcements. I want to wholeheartedly thank Andy Gow, who is retiring from our highway department after 36 years, for all of his service. He has been a tremendous asset to the town for 36 years. We want to thank him, wish him well, although we know that we're going to be seeing him still going on. We hope that he truly enjoys the next part of his life. So once again, thank you to him for everything that he's done for all of us. And secondly, the Vestal Fire Department is having an expo at Barnes and Noble's parking lot, Saturday, October 5th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And there's going to be a ton of stuff there, fire department vehicles, PD vehicles, all kinds of good stuff going on. So we do hope that everybody joins them and us there. So the committee chair, comments and updates. Does anybody have anything to add? Okay, anything? Okay, very good. And public comments. So this is the last section, where if you want to make a comment or a question or have a question, please keep it to 3 minutes. We just ask that you be respectful to everybody in the room. You speak to the board only. It's not, it should not be personal. It needs to be about town business. Would anybody like to speak in regards?
I appreciate some of the information that came out, the latter half of regarding the tax collecting. So based on my scribble, so far we're roughly $5,000 more than us doing it ourselves. What I didn't hear anything about the fact that the school district pays the town $25,000 to collect taxes. So what is that changing?
So, yeah, so if we stop the tax collection, we wouldn't, but I reached out already to the school superintendent. We will definitely be in conversation with them. We haven't decided for sure whether we're gonna do it. More information that we find, we will share with them, and it will definitely be a conversation with them as well.
So it could be $30,000 that the town is losing, then not 5,000. Because you won't be getting the 25,000 that the school district pays you to collect taxes. Just want to make sure I have the numbers in my head.
Well, we want to make sure that the numbers are
Yeah.
concrete. We're not.
No,
and,
I
you know,
understand. You're
yeah,
not definite.
Yeah. So I think this is much better. What we're doing now is that we're going to draw up the terms of the contracts. Obviously, all the members will then be able to talk in a work session
Mhm.
and go through everything in particular. And that's going to be public discussion as well.
Okay.
Our initial public response was good in a lot of ways, but we'd love to hear people's opinion as
I'm
well.
curious about that. I only found out about this about 2 hours before the meeting, and I had looked on the work session
Mhm.
and there was nothing on the work session from Monday, and I couldn't even download the minutes from the work session. So what public comment was there another meeting that I didn't hear? There was
No,
a
we
public
haven't had a
comment
public
about it?
meeting yet. So we will have a public work session a week from Monday.
So what's the public, where are you getting the public feedback that this is what they want?
Well, we did get some public response in person in regards. So
And people have also been emailing.
Yeah.
And if, Lisa, if I could go back to your question,
Mhm.
the money that the school district pays to the town for tax collection covers the cost of stamps, envelopes, personnel involved
Mhm.
in the process of collecting the taxes.
Right.
So, and so if we're not doing the school taxes, then we would be incurring those costs.
So you wouldn't be paying the personnel to do it either.
Correct.
So that's a
So
spot
it's
that
sort
you're,
of a
you're
wash.
talking about cutting that position.
It's sort of a wash, but that's, I don't know, we have to look at the
Right,
numbers.
right.
But I wanted to answer your question because
no, I
I thought
appreciate
that was
that.
more what you were asking.
Yep, I appreciate
And,
that.
and so, it's not anything,
Well, part of it's a position. I mean, not a full position because it's obviously not a full, that's not a full-time
right.
job.
right.
Yeah, and, I'm sorry, Sue, I didn't mean to.
Oh, so, but there is also, I'm sorry. There's also that cost of stamps, postage,
Mhm.
mailing, there's the machines and all that stuff.
Okay.
So it's not just the blanket, we would lose that money. That money is actually used to pay those expenses.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I appreciate Mr. Green's idea of having a spot for the senior citizens, because I think that's huge and I don't think you've heard from them. Because
Yeah.
I think that if you're telling them they have to drive to Johnson City or to Binghamton, that's going to be a concern for them.
Yeah,
So-
and let me clarify, it is an open position in town's clerk's office. Nobody's being displaced or anything like that.
Right, I know, I
Okay,
understand that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to address the town clerk or must I address the board?
You
I'm
have to
asking the
address the board.
attorney. I'm asking the attorney.
Yeah, public.
Here.
I got it. You should be making your public comments to the town board. You should be addressing the town board.
Okay, so the statement was made that you're doing it for the safety. Is what I believe I heard you say, not for financial reasons, but for the public safety. Are people rolling in with bags of cash that we don't know? I mean, what is the public safety? I'm just wondering because the public comes there for marriage license, hunting license, dog license. We all stop at that window for all of a minute, 2 minutes that it takes to pay your taxes or apply for the license. So what is that being abolished as well? That the activities that the public can do at the town clerk's position?
Well, I'll answer. Is that your last question? Because I'll.
I don't
otherwise
know.
answer.
I mean, you refer to safety.
Mhm.
So all of these involve an interaction at the window with the town clerk, as does paying your taxes. It's a brief interaction at the window, writing a check, giving a payment, whatever, getting your receipt and leaving. So your rationale was that this is because for public safety. So I'm
No,
wondering,
I
there are
said
other
that-
activities that also happen at that window. So are we negating all of that for public safety as well?
I said employee safety. Employees handle large amounts of cash in collecting taxes, and yes, people do pay in cash. So our paramount thing is the safety of our personnel. So yeah, the safety of our personnel is very important to us, yes.
And if I may,
Mhm.
so when tax time comes, you've got a huge influx of people paying their taxes. So it's a surge of people in that office in that small area. And that's difficult to manage at best. And the safety of concern, not only for the employees, but for the people coming in too, because it's a crowd. Marriage licenses, fishing licenses, that's more of a thing through the year. I realize fishing licenses are probably a spike also, but it's not a spike like the taxes are. So that's one of the things we're trying to alleviate is that crowding in that small space. It's a safety issue for both the employees and the residents.
But
Okay,
did
does
that
anybody
come-
else- It's not a back and forth. I asked you if you had any further questions, so I could answer them in total. Does anybody else have any questions or comments, ma'am? Or sir? Mhm.
Hi, my name is Tony DeFilippo. I'm
Sir?
retired from law enforcement for 30 years.
Mhm.
You have an adjoining police department here. You're talking about handling large amounts of cash. Back when I worked as a public servant, the deposits had to be taken to a bank or something. We would escort the people from the town or whatever to the bank to ensure there was no problems. I just paid my taxes today. I didn't have any problems in the lobby. Do they have a panic button in there?
We're not gonna give out
Yeah, we
security
can't.
procedures, so.
Well, okay, they should, let's just say that, because since they joined the, your building joins them, I would think that they shouldn't really be in fear of their safety. So that's the point that I would like to make.
Okay, thank you.
Just one
Dr.
quick
Sir.
question. I'm into the solar, and when can I ask the board a question about that?
If you want to ask it now, do you want it?
Okay, it's been like 3 years, last moratoriums on solar development. The last meeting I was at, Dave Berger was here and John Schaefer. Dave Berger told me that they were, at that point, gathering information relative to the development of solar, which is developing all around us, being in most schools. I see schools all the way out to Ithaca and businesses and everything else. My question is, where do we stand here in Vestal as far as moving forward, since I can't even get an answer if we've gone anywhere.
Yeah, no problem, sir. I'll tell you what the status is. We entered into the moratorium simply because we needed to, we just wanted to look over the whole situation and make sure that we did things in a very planned and considerate way. So we're reviewing the solar law, number one. But we entered into the first stage, which is we opted out of the state, tax law 487. We're in the process of doing that, and that is to ensure that, if we consider, and we'll probably have solar farms here, that they will be taxed, because, any commercial business should be taxed in the residence as far as the town board is concerned. So we do want to be able to tax them. Then we're going to go and look at, and consider what options we have and make sure that our solar law is adequate, taking into account the consideration that we had a whole series of meetings. A lot of things were brought up. We want to make sure that all of that is included in it. Our code officer is reviewing that. He's spectacular, but the town board is still learning about it, as are our committee boards within committees within the town that help us in assisting and reviewing projects. So we're educating ourselves as well. But that moratorium will end and we will be much more prepared, but we want to make sure that we protect all our residents and still allow, and still make the decisions in an informed and thoughtful way. But we are proceeding forward, but we're doing it in a planned way.
Okay, so if you pass this, eliminate this 15-year tax exemption, and you're a landowner and you lease the property to the solar farm, you're paying taxes on the property. So they're saying you're going to have to pay taxes on, the solar farm company will have to pay taxes on top of the taxes you're paying for the land.
Well, it's
You
just,
might be able to answer that question.
and then is that your final question, sir? Because I want to make sure that everything gets answered before we
That's
lose
the
time.
final
It's,
question.
yeah, I mean, the idea of this is, I don't think there have been any decisions made at all about whether this town board is gonna go forward with authorizing solar farms. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. There'll be some sort of revision to the current law during the moratorium process. But with regard to future development, it simply says if a solar array farm is built, it's going to get taxed. If a solar array farm is built, it's not going to be exempt from taxation. All the other parcels in the town of Vestal are taxed. We've got a tax assessor that assigns a value to the parcels. The particular valuation of a solar farm is going to be something that they will have to get in the weeds about, the assessor's office. But however, whatever the methodology for taxation of that parcel is, once a solar farm is on it and operating, the opt-out agreement or the opt-out decision that we're involved in right now simply says, in the event that these are built in the future, We will tax them, the town will tax them. The methodology doesn't have to be spelled out right now. I don't know what it is. I'm not, the assessor will have to work that out. But if it's built, it'll get taxed like all the other parcels in
Okay,
the town of Vestal.
all right, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have it? Ma'am?
To have guys, I would like to have you guys show the residents foils for the last 4 years of how much money that this town has taken in from penalties from school taxes and our town taxes. The last 4 years. And just see how much it is. And that's how much money you guys are gonna give it back way to the county. What does the county do for us? Somebody gets their tax bill. They don't look at how much the county is. They look at the bottom line. These, our taxes are so high. But yet up here, the county is 3/4 of our Vestal taxes. What does the county do for us? And the school board, you guys should probably go and meet with them pretty quick to find out what they want to be in plan. You know how much money that they're gonna be losing? Our tax money. It's ours. If you guys go along with this, I would be embarrassed. Because this has been going on a long time here. I think Debbie Wallace should be able to tell us how long it's been going on here. She should be able to tell us, along with Nick, how much money that this town has taken in on penalties. I don't buy the story of, oh, we can use the money for part-time employee. Hey, you guys got budgets. You guys are using the residents' money to bail you guys out. That's the bottom line. That's how I see it. I hate to say it.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, does anybody else have any questions or?
Hard for me to be a Vestal resident and not have the knowledge I have in my head as your town clerk and your tax collector for the last 20 years. So I don't know how I can differentiate between the two with the knowledge that I know and the questions that I have. I do know that 2,113 people have come to my window to pay their taxes in person. 2,113, and I haven't gotten into my busy week. I will notice that a budget of $14,743 is my budget to collect taxes in the town of Vestal, school, town and county. I will have it noted, though it was stated that $60,000 is my employees' salary that will be cut. I have on the tax roll as a, sorry, I'll direct it to you. There are 2 employees who collect taxes in my office. My deputy receives $1,000 a year to collect taxes. 1,000. So if we remove the position, which she does not take to make it part-time, is not a position that collects taxes. 2 people collect taxes, me and my deputy who makes $1,000 a year. So the 60,000, I'm not sure how that equates. We do take in 24 to 26 to 30,000 in the penalties each year. We get 25,000 for the school, 25,500. And my budget again, $14,743 to collect taxes. I'm not sure in the math how that's different. However, having this come up in the last 17 hours, I've spoken to many residents who have told me how devastating this is to them, how devastating it is to think that their mother will be driving down to Binghamton or to the mall to have to pay her taxes. They don't want a drop box. They want to come in, they want to see me take their check or their money, and they want a receipt from me. They don't want a drop box. They're satisfied with how it's been working for the last 200 years in the town. They're also satisfied with the quality they've gotten the last 20 years. I've been collecting school for 7. My understanding from the school is we have an excellent relationship. collecting taxes. There's been no issue. So I'm not sure where the numbers are coming through that we're losing money if the school's giving us 25.5 and mine is 14. And Nick, correct me if I'm wrong. If my budget is wrong, $14,743.
Please address
Subtracted.
the board. Please address.
Oh,
the board.
sorry.
Excuse me.
Okay,
Okay, time's up.
okay, thank you for your
Those are
comment.
my comments.
Okay, does anybody else have any question or comment?
That's
Okay. With that, we have a motion to enter into executive session on conduct of elected officials.
So moved. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to state that Monday, September 23rd, if failure to comply with the open meeting law A 05259 concerning executive.